Hi, I'm Marty Grizzanti, and this is the Marty Grizzanti Show. As a full-time real estate investor and business owner, I have a real fascination of finding the key principles for business success and personal development. This show is a reflection of my personal mission to find out what truly makes somebody successful in business and in life. We will find tools and tactics that they've used to reach those levels. If you're the type of person who is not satisfied with average and you have a hunger for learning that will never cease, this show is for you. Welcome to the show.
So we have yet another. Are we in another hotel room?
Of course we are. Why would I be at home?
I was actually just thinking about it. I was listening to a podcast on my run this morning, and like there's a very small pool of people that I'm sure you run into, even the fellow CEOs that I think have as much commitment to the company, to what they're trying to do than you do. And I think that's probably uncomfortable for a lot of people in your company. I thought about me, and I thought about my partner, right? I thought about my partner who has a very high level of urgency, more than even me at times. And well, I would say probably he's 70-30 more urgent than me. And I would say that it's uncomfortable because you need to be called out a lot of times. And it's not like in a mean way. It's more of just like, hey, this is where we're going. Like, is this been done yet? Or are we here yet? Or is that, I got to imagine that's got to be uncomfortable for some people in your company. Or do you not feel that? Or is that a good thing to have them uncomfortable? Do you want to find people who are like, yeah, I'm in, like, because I'm in, right? When he goes like telling me those things, I'm like, yeah, I know I need to do that better. So I'm just curious, like, do you see that, or do you even know that that's something that you do? I'm just curious.
They all know it, and I don't think it makes them uncomfortable at this stage. No, we have a pretty tight leadership team. So, Tim is tight, Shane, Chris, all the guys, Diane, like everybody knows this is just who I am. So he's going to do what he's going to do. And we just keep improving and making money. Then, this is Jer, and they all get me.
I love it.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's uncomfortable for other people that don't know you. Like I bet when you go into a room with other people, because of because I think that's a good thing. Like, people who are uncomfortable need to step it up is really what I'm getting at. If they don't feel that level, maybe, hey, I'm like Jeremiah, I'm at 110 in this category. And if you're at a 70, right, I can get you to an 85. And that, if you want that, is a great thing, but you're not going to take my energy down. Like, either you're going to raise up or I'm just going to keep moving. So that is really what I think is so important, is that you can take other people up there with you, and people probably either love that or they can't do it and they probably leave, and that's not a good fit for the company anyway. So
that's so funny, Marty, because I had a one-on-one meeting this morning at this conference I'm at in Arizona, the Genius Network. Joe Polish, the guy, focuses on marketing and then a lot of other things regarding what intrigues me about some of his stuff is a lot of entrepreneurs are addicts, in the sense of they might not have had a negative addiction. Some did have chemical addictions. Others just have obsessive compulsive addictions to a lot of other things, to work or drive or whatever, a game that they sport, anything. So what the guy was saying that this morning, he saw me like I'm just like a voracious note taker. I'm like, I just destroying it in every day when I'm in this conference, because I got shit in my mind and I don't have to think about the day-to-day operating business. And he's just like, damn, do you want to be calm? And he's like, I don't think you want to be calm. That's not the right word. But it's like, are you trying to change that energy, or he's like, is that just who you are? And I said, I think for me, and this is what I gravitate to you, Marty, is we naturally have this like positive, energetic, like aura where we just want to be better, and we're excited about life, and we want to be engaged and passionate about things, and either people gravitate to it or they don't. So, that's one of my superpowers since I was a kid. You just think about, everyone has like something that's unique and magical to them. And, that unique niche is what we all bring to the table, and you better delegate everything else. And I was just thinking, like I do three things really good, this is one of those things where I just was like a captain of the football team, or like I was an Eagle Scout, or I was somebody that just I don't know, I could flip a switch and I just fucking love to get people amped up. I love to be amped up. There's probably a negative side to that where I'm a junkie. I love the thrill of like the deal, or the thrill of the fight, or the game, or the, of the tension, So yeah, but either way, people want a piece of it, and that's what I want to just play to my strengths, and that's something that's authentic to me. I don't have to pretend it. I don't have to go out there and like act like I'm motivated or act like I'm like pumped up or something. Like, it's just who I am, and being a better presenter and speaker, I want to be able to express that. But I think when everyone's thinking about their strengths, that's why I love my book, finding your edge, and this is the podcast. Think about that strength, and then what is authentic to you, and then at the same time, what are the sides of that need to be polished? Just because it's a strength, like great athletes, they think they don't need to train, or they think maybe, I'm just saying, naturally gifted athletes in those areas don't focus on the little details. So I noticed that, I spoke way too fast. I was not really clear in my messaging. I would lean on the motivational aspect of like my energy to try to get messages across, but I didn't truly think through and diagram in my own mind how I'm going to articulate it, especially in context to people that don't understand what I'm talking about. So there was a lot of downsides of me gibbering along because I'm so, pumped up, where I'm like, I've watched other videos and things of presentations, and I'm like, that you didn't do it right. And you didn't connect with people first and raise them to that level, Marty. So for me to have any chance, this is communication 101, like I'm up here, they're down here, but if I don't come down a little bit to meet them, I can't pull them up. I'm not saying that I'm going to change who I am. I'm just saying, like, if someone passes away, you can't be like, okay, yay, let's just have a better day, tomorrow. It's like, no, you gotta meet their energy, and then, come up with them. And that's that self-awareness that I think that everyone needs to employ, and I've definitely been working on.
It is such a skill. It's really good that you've recognized that, because that's something I think I have a little bit of, is I'm able to have that energy, and I think that people want to be around that, and it's an attracting thing. But I agree with you that if you don't have, like, you can get people amped up pretty quickly, but if the message isn't clear, then that whole thing was it was only for a short period of time, right? But if you can do that and have the message clear, you can do wonderful things as a leader. And that's what I think about, is like, hey, this is my skill as a business owner, as a leader. I love doing it. It just comes natural to me. But just like you said, if my message isn't connecting, because that makes sense in my head, but how do I get it to go into their head? That's where the skill that you're talking about, you got to really hone that craft. And that's very interesting. And that's something that is my edge, but that's an edge that can continue to be sharpened. So that's really good.
Yeah, I love that. I think anyone listening, where it's so into self-help and improvement, what are those things that are unique to you? What are those things that just keep asking yourself, what is that special thing that I am made to be or made to do? And, I noticed for me, it's like, one, I like seeing around the corner. Like, I like, it's always about what's the strategy. I'm constantly, I got journal on notes, just like tons of stuff. And it's, I want to think through these processes. And I was just on this hike last night, and I was thinking to myself in Arizona here, looking at the sunset and the beautiful, the skyline of the city up on this mountain. And I'm like, I love to get lost in the game. I just want to get lost in the game of whatever it is, whatever I'm learning at the time. If the game's real estate, just get lost in the different aspects of it and don't worry about all the other crap going on in the world. So for me, like, having that strategy and trying to see around the corner and trying to understand the pieces I have on the board, and how offensive or defensive I need to be. Like, I love that part of the business. I don't mind the pressure around that. That makes me feel alive. Now, I don't want to be reactive. I don't want to be a slave to, circumstances. I want to take control and have that control and sacrifice growth for that control. But anyway, I love the strategy. I love seeing around the corner. Secondly, I love building relationships. I love to engage with someone and see, what are you really good at? Like if it's a vendor, if it's a contractor, if it's a salesperson and they're just super good at one thing, how can we work together? How can I make you great? How can I use you in my organization to make my vision great? And how can we, build something long term? Do we have the right values? Are we culturally aligned? Where this is going to be a relationship that I'm building for decades, not just this year or next year, and doing that with investors and with my people that are in my company. And I just love that. I love talking about you. I love going to all these conferences and just really immersing myself. I like one-on-one. I like being a speaker, but I like being one-on-one with people. And I just want to just like immerse myself in their world and then go be on my own. And I don't like being with groups of people for long periods of time. And then lastly, the third thing is that what I was sharing is just that natural energy and just excitement and positivity and realism and authenticity, and then just sharing that, like my excitement for life and just like whatever game I'm lost in. So like I think those are things that are really unique and special to me. And I'd love everyone to do this exercise, and even you, Marty, man. It's just like everyone needs that self-awareness, because if you're just trying to chase the sunset in the wrong direction, I'm just not an operational guy. I just fucking, and I know you aren't either. I can't measure, I can't follow a scorecard, follow a perfect schedule, follow, different protocols and standard operating procedures. And it just kills me when we start talking about that. But I see the value in it, and I employ a lot of people that are truly good at it now, that really do love structure. And I love chaos. I love controlled chaos. That's what I love. So it's this dichotomy where I love the chaos. I want to try to control it, and then I'll just put myself in chaos again. So
I'm laughing because there's so many things to unpack there, and I want to, but I'm laughing because to know that where you are now, like to where you are, and maybe where you were in the beginning stages of your career, it's good to know that there is hope for those who are that us type of people to still be able to do the things that you've done. So that makes me giggle, because it's like, all right, I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm still following my path, and I may not be that operational guy like we're talking about, but I have the people around me. I just got to get them better, and just the right people come in your life at the right time, I think. And I think that's happening. I think that's happening now. You said something that's interesting. You talked about, I like to see things around the corner. Is that, when you're digging into your journaling and your thought and your strategy and all those things, is that something like, okay, this is where we can pivot if needed? Like, I think about a lot of times in my business is like, hey, especially because we're flipping houses, like, hey, all right, or rentals. And it's like the BRRRR strategy is not really there, right? You can't, it's really tough to refinance at 8.5 and still make money. At least I'm like a single family, right, in my area. And the same thing with flipping. It's like, okay, now it's at 8.5. These mortgages. That is getting tricky. So is that what you're talking about when you're like, I like to see around the corner? Is it thinking about how you guys can pivot, or is it just something, I don't want to have this come into my business like this, or as a roadblock? So I'm just trying to make sure I'm staying ahead of anything, because it's very tough. And think about like when you're like driving a car sometimes in a snowstorm, and you can only just see a little bit ahead of you, but you still got to keep going in entrepreneurship. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so let's just relate it to like in football. Like the Bills have a dynamic offense, but say some things aren't working for like three weeks in a row. So it's just like, I'm not saying change the whole offense. You don't take the whole playbook and say, here guys, here's the entire new playbook to the offensive strategy. They're just saying, hey, we're gonna have an H back, and we're gonna run a little more of a dump strategy where we're gonna dump it off and get 3 to 5 yard plays with our running back, and then drive runs up the middle, and then we're gonna go for the big shot once in a while. So it's just taking a nuanced thing and changing just a little tweak to that system, because you can't overhaul the entire system. That takes a lot, over a season. You have to take the off season and rebuild. So for us, like, it's just like right now, in real estate, hey, we're only sticking to value add plays. And I keep telling you that, like, we're only sticking to existing operating businesses, storages and parks, that we can improve just a little bit. And they have to have all these different criteria where we're more picky than we ever were, because of how risky the market is, how the cost of debt is so high, and how the consumer, the average person, is so tight on how much money they have. So you can't raise rents. So like I'm just saying here now is like we're redefining what we're doing. And 2 years ago, we could build at a very cheap price. We could build $65 a foot. And even today, we still have a lot of those contracts in place and a lot of materials in place where we're building at a low cost basis and we have our debt in place. But we can't do that right now. We can't just go on and take on new construction projects right now. Cost of build is high and interest rates are high. So seeing around the corner for me is like, even with this content stuff. So I was at Reconvene a couple weeks ago, and you see, like I see all the guys that are influencing or have a very big influence over aspects of the industry with certain crowds or audiences that follow them, and getting to meet with Nick Huber and Moses Keegan and these guys that have a big Twitter audience. I'm just trying to understand, what is popular, what's not popular, how do we share content in a way that gives people value? And I don't know a lot of it. But for me, at least thinking around it, and like maybe something that I took from that is, they one, I think a lot of them focus too much on content and they don't actually operate the assets as I think as much as they should or focus on they should. And I'm not saying Nick, I'm just saying a lot of the different people that are there where they're very good at raising money, but they should be really focused on building their business more. But secondly maybe their strategies are outdated. I mean, what are you going to do with multifamily right now? Where unless you have an edge and you're buying, you have a deal flow source and you're finding off market deals that are C plus B minus products, and there's so much competition in that industry, and interest rates are, like you said, really high. Like, I don't know. I didn't see a lot of them have an alternative. They were like a one-trick pony, and now they're really suffering because their loans are going to come due, and we all know this. And they had this bridge debt that was very low interest, and they raised a lot of money, and they're deploying it, and they don't have any other strategy to pivot. So, I think that I'm learning from those mistakes. Like you can't just because you wanted to sacrifice you want to scale quickly. Now you're in big trouble because you really don't have a full range of a comprehension of investing in real estate without just that one strategy they were employing.
Yeah, that's interesting that you talk about the reconvene. If people that are listening are on Twitter and they're following real estate, you probably have heard of that because a lot of the major influencers that were there. But that's kind of the thing about a guy like you is that you're the type of person that needs to put that content out because you're the one that's actually running it, the way, a successful way. And it's like, this is what we really do. Like we're really doing it. And I don't think a lot of people, I shouldn't say that. I think that there are people on Twitter that it's really to sell a product, which might be a coaching, which might be something, and that's fine. But the truth is that you're the type of guy. There's people that should be saying the things and writing the stuff and putting it out there, and we are, right. We're figuring it out. But if there's anybody that's supposed to be posting on Twitter, it probably should be a guy like Jeremiah.
I mean, the relationships are pretty amazing. You get to talk to all these people at every stage of the game. Small investors trying to get into commercial, mid-sized, large investors backed by private equity. You get different egos and attitudes, and you get a lot of different personalities, a good, bad, and indifferent. But I think the main thing, Marty, is at these conferences, what I notice is people are driven always to the hero's journey story. It's always, they want to, what's funny, and it's cool, it inspires me, but you just see it so much now where you get someone up there and the audience on stage, and the audience watches, and what's your story? Where did you come from? How did you do it? What were the big challenges in your life? What were those character building moments that were pivotal? And it's great. And I do like it. And I think that's probably what, we're all wired to be around the campfire and talk about these stories. And that's, I think though, what these things miss. And Marty, if you ever do your educational, conferences, your events, your mastermind events or whatever, is very rarely, and there was one guy there that was very good at it. He articulated extremely well his fund strategy and how they grew and overcame these guys out of Boston that buy multifamily as a family business. But what I noticed, Marty, is 99 or 9 out of 10 times, it's so complicated. They don't break it down in a way that truly adds value, where people are there to learn, and everyone's doing it there at that conference to figure out how to do it themselves, how to be a great investor, and then or how to be a good operator. And then secondly, there was some, investors there looking for other people to invest in. But I think very rarely do people have a mastery over the craft in this area that you and I work so hard in, where they can explain it in ways that are very simple and people understand the fundamentals of how they did it and how they can implement that into their own businesses. There's still, very rarely do you see that level of mastery. And then if people can't explain it to that degree, then I think they truly don't master it. And then people truly are just motivated for the moment, and it's just a spark, but they don't have the fuel to help them, really continue to feed the fire of all the pieces that need to go in place. Like when you talk about fundraising and opening a fund, there's so much fucking complexity around that, and so many differing opinions and nonsense advice, where if you can whiteboard it, and maybe I'll probably do this someday for you, we just whiteboard it for 5 minutes and really dial it in, you can understand the whole fundamentals of running a fund versus just a normal partnership. And it's just the industry shrouded in complexity, which is an opportunity, but it's also a pain in the ass that it's so hard to find true resources for knowledge of the essentials, what really matters when doing this business.
You're so right. You never get like the dirty stuff, you never get like the shit because that's not sexy. Like you're going to be talking about stuff I'm sure some complication to it, and it's nothing you can really sell, right? You can sell the hero story, but it's hard to sell hey, it's just the day in, day out grind. It's kind of hard to put that into a probably a sellable story, and that's maybe not why they don't do it, and probably because they don't want to. And it's like, listen, it's just it was 30 years. I don't know how to tell you. It's just it is what it is. I can't explain it. So yeah, I think that whiteboarding out would be amazing. You could probably maybe do a book on that, your next book, honestly. But anyway, no, that's awesome. Reconvene was fantastic. You said something before, and then same thing with Reconvene. This might be kind of tough for people to do. I'm kind of curious how you do it. You're in these larger crowds. You've been doing these, going to these events, and you don't know anybody that's a lot. Sometimes you don't know a lot of people at these events. Do you have a skill, or do you have like a slick trick to kind of take somebody that you're like, I really want to talk to that person? Is it just as easy as just going up to them and say, hey, I'm Jeremiah, and that was awesome what you were saying there? And like, is there a skill or something that you can do? Because I think a lot of people are like, I see people at these events, I'm not really sure exactly how to approach them. Do you give something like, hey, do you talk about yourself? Like, what do you do in those situations? I'm just curious, because I kind of have that. It's weird that I would have that problem, but I kind of do. I'm like, I want to talk to that person, but I have nothing to value to give them, right? Because they're doing something that I don't know how to do, and I kind of want to get something from them, but I want to give something, in order to get. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are on that.
I don't know, Marty. I think systemically the system's broken. Like the process is broken. Because yeah, I mean, I'm more than happy to just say, hey, I'm Jeremiah. Where are you from? What do you do? What are our synergies? What can I do to listen and then offer value, or do they have value that they can offer to me? It's inefficient. So I think what you got to do, Marty, is put up, obviously on the badge, there should be something that says what you focus on in the asset class, but you should have like stations or poles or flags, and have the 5 or 7 asset classes or 10 asset classes that we all focus on, multifamily, storage, industrial, parks, retail, capital raising, partnerships, syndication, debt, all that stuff. Like just have areas that that people can gravitate to, that this is what I'm interested in. So that way I could go up and go, cool, man, like, hey, I'm in parks, or I'm in storage, or I'm looking for debt. It's so stupid. I don't know why anyone doesn't figure this out.
That is exactly what we need. That is exactly like, that would make life so much easier. Like, these people spend a lot of money to go to these places, and they might not talk to a single soul, other than bullshit, other than just like, yeah, the weather's nice today. Where are you going for lunch? It's like, that's cool, but damn, don't you just want to get kind of the reason why you're there? And I think a lot of people kind of miss that, because you want to make it really simple for people. Like you said, the system is broken, and I think that's what's needed as an overall to help people out, man. We're just trying to help people get, because you only got a short window of time at these events, right? And then you're probably working on some other stuff, and then you got to go to the gym. You got to really kind of get it all in. And yeah, that's interesting.
I'm with you, man. Yeah,
it's a good point.
Do maybe a symposium where you have 7 rooms and you do 7 different talks, and you got one moderator, and people can raise their hands and ask questions in that industry. I wish we just would get to the heart of it. Some of the content is such shit. It's like I spent all this time to get here, and this panel up here is pontificating on what interest rates could be, or what the equity markets are going to do in the economy. Who the fuck knows? Like, watch CNBC. Like, it's all bullshit. I don't know. You don't know, right? But what can we control right now? I want to know hard input costs on construction, and what are some grant programs or HUD financing, or I don't know, or some strategy around what the average rent needs to be in order to make a project work. What's your yield on cost? Like, let's talk real numbers, and real strategy around this stuff. So it doesn't happen much.
I was going to just say, I don't think I've ever been to an event that really had anything like that. Honestly, I really don't.
Yeah. Ascend was okay in Miami. They're trying to do that. But I think you could do it better, Marty. So someday you gotta do something like that. And there are some great presenters. It's just when they stand out, it's far and few, I think, in terms of what people that are really killing it and understand their craft. So yeah, I think the seminar system is broken.
Yeah, it's hard to do. So you got to rethink it. You got to rethink it. And like you said, it's something that needs to be done. And I think maybe we're the ones that do it anyway. So part of you going to these events, what are you looking for when you go to something like this? Is it partnerships? Is it money? Is it raising money? That's a big thing that we're going through right now. Is all right, we raised that $1 million, which was a lot harder than we thought, but we did it.
Nice.
What are your we did it. It closed. Everything's good. But now it's like, we know those people are tapped out. So what are you doing to, I guess, what's the point of these events for you at this point?
Yeah. So, I mean, you got to look at that when you sign up for the event, right? So it's like, what is the objective I'm trying to achieve right now? Like what we met through with Commercial Academy and DIC with Scott Shield, that to me is obviously industry specific. Like, it's a lot of people that are in small to mid-sized commercial real estate, some big players, but mostly small and mid-sized. And it helps me understand different aspects of different asset classes that people that are successful, that are finding good deals and doing creative partnerships. It gets me up to speed and compares me to other industries, other asset classes, in real estate, so I can use what they're doing to help me adapt my business, like doing a little bit of small bay with my storage, or a leasing technique with, small bay that I didn't know with Facebook. So things that are very unique and different and innovative. So I like that. I like, learning, refining the industry stuff that I want to learn. Secondly, like this one here, in terms of genius, it's marketing. So when I come here, we're not a lot of people watch our podcast, but the people that do give us good feedback. But like, how do we get it out there? How do we make this of more value for other people? How do we refine our brand and image, as at Patriot? I'm not a marketing guy, but when I'm here, I want to find strategic people that can help me do that in an affordable way that I have in my budget, and to be able to grow that relationship over the years. And I went to this guy 10 years ago, and I did a typed out, basic, authentic letter that I wrote out to mobile home park owners over 10 years ago or 12 years ago, more than that. I think it was 13. And I didn't even think about it. The guy said, Joe said, hey, if you don't take anything from this seminar, take this one thing. This is the only thing I want you to take away. One good piece of copy, a letter or a piece of copy that you can send to your core primary target market can change your life. And I was like, okay, all right, fuck it. Like, I'm going to do this one thing. So I wrote the letter and I sent it out to all the park owners. And I know a lot of people do direct mail, but I did it. And I got a call when I was in a snowstorm in New York City in the middle at another conference, trying to learn about fundraising. And it was like they shut the whole city down. I was there with my girlfriend. We tried to get in Saturday Night Live. I remember the night very clearly. And like it was just pounding snow. Like the city was like dead. It was crazy. It was like 0 people there because they shut the city down. And the guy called me from the West Coast, and he was out of Utah. He was a Mormon guy, and he was tired of Vegas. He didn't like it anymore. He's like, I want to sell my park. This is it. Close it in 45 days or don't do it. I don't care. And I like jumped right on it, and I got my partner Dave, and we bought it. And that was a catalyst that created my whole Vegas portfolio that I ended up taking over and then selling and making that 10 million bucks. That started from that one handwritten letter and that I signed and typed out and sent from that one conference. And I continued to do that over the years, and it still works to this day, man. You never know where these stuff is going to come from and that one idea you're going to take. So that's just an example, Marty, in this particular thing. And, there's other conferences too that I can get a lot, that we get other things out of. But, obviously I love it's relationships is first. The content is a close second. And then, for me, my value is health as well. That's always third, so I am always trying to get gym sessions in, hikes in, just meet people that value health. And like I told you, I'm doing the little biohacking wellness lounge. We're going to call it Helix. Yeah, it's like a really cool concept. And this is a place that it has nothing to do with my company. It's just my personal passion project, and it's an invitation only. And any of these networks or people that I meet, if they're in Vegas, it's a lounge that you can hang out. It's very comfortable. You can be very private, or you could be in a public space, community space, and you could do the hot sauna, the cold plunge, the hot tub. You can do the training in the back. We have another buddy that's doing his MMA gym out of our back warehouse, and so he's going to be training self-defense. Love to get you in rolling around on the mats, Marty. You have a lot of fun with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
So yeah, so it's like creating these things, and then ideas.
That's great.
The last thing is ideas. Like it just gets me out of my head where it gives me a chance to just, as I listen to other people and I see what people are doing, and as the content's being shared, I don't know, it sparks a bunch of other things in my mind that I can bring back to my business that I wouldn't have had unless I was fully immersed in this experience. And the remote thing doesn't work for me. I have to be at the actual conference to get the most out of it. That's it, Marty.
Well, I think that that can wrap it up, because if you can, it can be, I see why now you take them so seriously, because that one nugget changed your life that you got from that marketing, that one piece. And if you can just find that one wrinkle, that one tiny sliver, it's worth it. And it's worth it for 100x. So if you can just take those one little things each event, then it's a game changer. It's going to sharpen your edge. It's going to lead you to that next, the next side of your business, the next side of your life, the next side of your health. And I think that's a wonderful thing. So,
and Marty, the key piece on that, take action. You have 1 million notes. You have 1 million people that you have their phone numbers. You have a big workbook, but you got to do 1 or 2 or 3 or a handful of things and take action. If you don't do that,
100%. And that's really good. You really need to do it. I mean, really, these are all great things, these events and everything, but you just got to do the work. There's so many people that just don't want to do the work.
Just one thing, because the thing is, I just stopped everything. I made it a priority, and I did the damn letter and actually sent it out to 2,000 people or 5,000 people. And that's it. And I hired a third party and that whole deal. You got to do it. And then the health advice, Marty, I got out of this one, like simplicity is definitely the key to execution, and complexity is the enemy of execution. So for me, the 2 simple things on the health front, because, I think I'd love to push this, always push a health principle on this thing. My other buddy, Matt, my good friend of mine, I've known forever. He said, he doesn't need anything out of a package anymore. So and that's going to be the 80-20 rule for me. But if I can, if I can do that, it's such a simple rule, right? So if 80% of the time I don't eat out of a package, and I'll try as 100% of the time, no more bars, no more shit. I mean, just minimize it. I'll try it. We'll see as I travel like a beast. And then secondly, just don't eat within 3 hours of bedtime. So stop at 6:30 p.m. Cram all the food I want in my mouth, but stop at 6:30. And Ryan Kennedy, my health coach now, my wellness doctor out of San Diego, who's helping with Helix, this guy is awesome. And he just, he's a member of GoBundance too, and he does personalized health. And he's like, this is the one thing, like, I can help you get ripped. And this is just do one thing. I don't need to give you all these supplements. I don't need to tell you to do anything. Don't even change your workouts. Stop eating 3 to 5 hours before you go to bed and watch what happens. And it's like, damn, like I leaned out, probably 3 pounds. Like I feel way more energy. My heart rate variability, I see a direct correlation, dude. I was averaging 100, 90 and 100 every night last week. And then I ate last night because I went on this long hike and I was starving, and I ate at 9 o'clock, and I fucking had 23% recovery, which I usually have 80%. And my heart rate variability was down to 60. It dropped 40% in one night because I ate late, and I had good sleep. I mean, I didn't have good sleep, but I went to bed at 9:30. It wasn't up late.
That's incredible. That is insane. Those little tweaks can make such a big difference. And it's great because, obviously, this shit. You've been following the shit. Like, that this is what is actually the truth. And wow, that's really interesting. And you wish that more people knew about this stuff. That's all. And this is why you're doing it. This is why you're putting it out there. It's like, if I can help one person, I know it's made such a difference for you, right? Simple things for health. Simple things for business. We're just two simple guys just trying to make it. Jeremiah.
That's it, dude.
Thank you, my friend. All right, brother. All right, guys. Take care. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.
Thank you for tuning into the Marty Grizzanti Show. If you're listening on Apple Podcast, leave us an honest rating and review. If you're on Spotify, make sure you follow us for weekly episodes.